10 days ago I made a video about Lossless and I explained how it has a lot of potential. Exactly 48 hours after I made that video, it went to achieve 150% in profit. So I guess now it's time to look at it again and see where it's heading. Welcome everybody to the channel. This is King, your host, and this video is for pure educational purposes. If it's your first time in the channel and you happen to like my content, please consider subscribing and smashing the like button, and also share it if you think it's worth sharing. Now let's get to the charts. If you guys wish to watch the last video I made on Lossless, I will leave a link for you below in the description box, because it has a lot of details about the project and what it's doing. I always say in my videos, including the last video I made about Lossless, is that the market will always move in waves, and these waves are categorized into two different structures. The first one is 3 waves and the second one is 5 waves. In my last video I said to you guys that I'm not yet sure if the structure of Lossless is going to be 3 or 5 waves, because the third wave was not yet complete and we need to have at least 2 impulses in order for us to be able to tell if we will get number 4 and 5. And now, since the third wave of this structure is already formed over here, so it's easier for us to tell. And this structure is going to be a 5-wave structure. In my last video I explained how I believed that this was all the correction that Lossless had to do, because it completed already 3 waves and we were ready for the third wave of the structure. So what we have right now is a 3 waves of a potentially 5-wave structure that Lossless is going to form. The first wave was this one, the second wave is this correction, and now we're inside the third wave. Now it's important to notice that the third wave is not yet complete, despite us being pulling back at this moment. And I believe there is more on this third wave of the structure to come. But anyways, I'll explain to you more about this later. But for now, once this wave is complete, we're likely going to have another pullback and then another impulse up. So the whole structure is eventually going to look like this. Now, why am I so sure that we have a 5-wave structure? That's because we did not get any divergence between the first high and the second high on the MACD. And usually when we don't get divergence, this is a reference to a 5-wave structure. Now when I made my last video, the price was exactly at this point over here. And 2 days later, it went all the way to achieve over 150% in profit. And it broken the previous top exactly as I said back then. But the important question right now is, what are we going to get next? From what I can see right now is that the price is starting to form a corrective flag. And in order for us to be able to analyze this properly, let us go to the 4 hours chart. And as you can see here in the 4 hours, it looks more clear. So if we plot a flag on this one, on both sides, we will see that this flag is almost coming to an end. So it has been bouncing back and forth from the upper trend line and from the lower trend line. And as it shows over here that we started getting a bullish engulfing candles at the end of this bullish flag, which could be the first or the initial signal that we are likely going to break out the structure and go up from here. And anyways, this is not going to take a lot of time to be decided, because the flag has already reached its end. So we could likely see this breaking out tonight or tomorrow at max. Now if we go back to the daily chart again to try to understand how far this piece of the structure or the third wave of the structure is going to go. Now if you've been following me for a while, you would know that I always try to compare the pieces of the structure to a previous pieces, because most of the pairs tend to have a certain characteristics that will be repeated in the future. So the initial impulse, the initial wave of this structure, it contained 5 waves. 3 of these waves were impulses and 2 of them were pullbacks. I would not call them corrections because they were just pullbacks. So the initial impulse was this one, and then we got a pullback, and then we got the second impulse, and then we got a pullback here, and then we got the third impulse. So this was a 5 waves impulse. So if this impulse over here is going to repeat the same scenario that we had in the first one, this means that we already had the first and the initial impulse, and now we're in the first pullback. So ideally what should happen next is that we should get a second impulse and then a pullback and then a third impulse before considering the third piece of this structure complete. This could be one scenario. Now the other scenario, we might just get 3 waves instead of 5 waves as we got in the first structure. So this could be the first one, and this could be just a pullback, and then we get another one, and then we start a deeper correction as we got over here. Now in both cases the way is up from here, but the question that we need to try and find an answer for is how far should we be expecting the price of lossless to go from this point on. Now there are 2 answers to this question. One of them has to do with pure technical analysis, and the other one is related to the fundamental side. So if you have watched my last video, you would know that this project is very promising and it could achieve way more profits than what we are expecting, because their idea is very unique and they have proven their use case. And on top of that, this project has a very small circulating supply. And if we look at the current price point, we'll see that it's so undervalued comparing to what it can achieve in the future. But let's go back to technical analysis and plot the Fibonacci extension levels. The ideal scenario here says that the price should go towards the 1.618 Fibonacci extension level, and that stands at $1.12. But this is not necessarily to be the case here. So we could go way further than this, and the price could, for example, extend all the way to the 3.618 Fibonacci extension level, and that stands at $2.15. So all scenarios are open from this point on. I would say it's all subject to the momentum when we break out. So are we going to get a lot of volume, in addition to any other developments that could be happening with this project very soon, like being listed on a new exchange, or for example having a new and big partnership. All of these factors could play a major role on how far the price is going to go from here. Now if you have a different opinion, please let me know in the comments below and tell me how far do you think lossless is going to go, and are you invested on it or not. Also tell me what's the next hidden gem that I should be looking at in my next video. And I want to remind you guys that you can still join my Telegram group. I will leave the links for you below. I put over there an exclusive trading setups with specific entries, like lossless for example. This was it for today, and until next video, stay safe and see you later.